and we've done that. It's now gone to a conference committee. The Senate has passed a bill. We've passed a bill in the House. We'll talk about it in a conference and hopefully get that to the president to sign before September 30th when this farm bill is done. It's a every 5-year deal and give some farmers some certainty. The next thing I said it was important to me priority-wise was the economy. And I said, number one, we needed to roll back regulations, and I think we're accomplishing that. Everywhere I go across the state, people tell me how the regulations have slowed down or at least are going backwards. We pretty much repealed Dodd-Frank. Actually, the House repealed the entire Obamacare bill, but the Senate didn't. But we still were able to get bits and pieces of it done as well. And I think the EPA slowed down a little bit, so I see those regulations rolled back and the economy picking up. And then beyond that, we did a tax cuts bill where the average Kansan will get to keep about $2,000 more of their hard-earned dollars each year. And across the country, the best economy in my professional lifetime. And then lastly, I said national security would be a priority. And thank goodness I have a president who also thinks that. I think our national security is definitely moving in the right direction. ISIS is 1% of the size it was a year ago. I think that NATO has never been as strong as it is right now. The other countries contributing $40 billion more this year than in years past. And then Congress has done its part by fully funding the military, allowing for more troops, for new planes, for new Navy ships, all those types of things, making us as stronger internationally as well. I think that there's a little bit of a detente with North Korea and Russia, a little bit of slackening of the bow. I think that we're in a better shape there today than we were 3 years ago as well. So I am convinced that national security is going in the right direction. So I think I'll stop there. And I know several people already started with some questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. Yes, sir.
At the beginning, Trump was doing very well bringing jobs back to the people here in the United States. What are your feelings on the tariffs that he has put in place, and it's lost some jobs because of it? What is your feelings on that?
You know, I think long before we were talking about this, I was promoting trade and very much against tariffs. I think that tariffs are ultimately a tax on consumers. I publicly have said this. I've said it on national news. I've had a phone conversation. I've talked one-on-one with President Trump about this as well. So I think at the end of the day, though, that there's lots of long-term opportunities, and there's certainly some short-term pain for all of us, especially agriculture. Agriculture is always the first to bear the blunt of any type of trade war. The trade war started on February the 6th when China retaliated on sorghum, and we saw the price of sorghum drop $1 a bushel overnight.
Exactly.
And I could talk for the rest of the afternoon how those trade and tariffs are impacting Kansans, not just in agriculture where we've seen a 20% drop in all the commodities, but it's in manufacturing as well. In the oil industry, the tubular pipe has went up 50-70%. All these ag implement manufacturing companies import steel, and that's driving their cost of business up. Wichita, the airplane industry, they make those fuselages there at Spirit out of aluminum, which is imported. So it's definitely hurting us right now. I have to believe that the long-term gain is worth it. I'm glad that the president has gave us $12 billion to help make agriculture whole, but I'm more concerned about going forward, and what I've tried to impress upon the president is how important it is to get NAFTA finished up yesterday. And I've been saying this for 2 years, negotiating, going to NAFTA negotiations myself in Mexico City. We need to get NAFTA done, and there's hope that we might get it wrapped up in principle in August or early September. I'm hoping Canada, the European Union, Southeast Asia, and Japan quickly fall in there. So I understand we're bleeding bright red American blood right now on it.
What's the biggest stumbling block in NAFTA?
I think there's 2 or 3 things. Number one is the president wants a sunset clause, where in 5 years from now NAFTA is done. And Mexico and Canada don't want that, and actually most Congress members don't want that either. And then the other issue would be how much of a car to be called made in North America needs to be made in North America. So a lot of the components of these cars are made in China, where Korea is, and then shipped here. So he wants to raise a duty-free car from like 62% made in North America to like 80 or 85% as well. And then the last thing is something, a trade dispute settlement, where if you're an investor, let's say you're an investor here and you do grain handling situation, you ship grain to Mexico, and you own the shipping handling situation there, and the Mexico government makes a big shift in their laws, that you could appeal an issue to a higher court and then have that disputed. Then the president doesn't want that. I think it's a pretty good idea as well. So those are the major hang-ups as well. With Canada, the bigger issues though are about intellectual property, that they don't respect intellectual property for movies, for music, and even our pharmacy. One reason Canada could ship medicines back or cheaper than we can is that they don't let the copyright of the patent on that drug last as long as ours. They only respect it for 3 years, we for 10 years, a few of them. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm in the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Teamsters Union,
Okay.
and I recently received my endorsement of candidates through the state of Kansas.
Okay.
Every one of them was listed as Democrat.
Okay.
When I called and I asked, I said, how did they gain these endorsements? And I was told that they were sent out a state and local candidate questionnaire.
Okay.
Did your office receive that questionnaire?
I probably got over 100 questionnaires, and I don't remember specifically that one.
Okay.
But I would not doubt it, but we can find out and let you know.
Okay, 'cause I
I bet that they would, if we did, we would have made it and returned it.
Because I got in touch with your office
Okay.
back in July when I got this information. They were
Right.
going to get back with me, and they haven't. But there's more and more Republicans entering the workforce because the Union Pacific is the largest hirer of veterans.
Great.
And a majority of us were registered Republicans.
Okay.
And we're sitting around the table asking these questions, how did this endorsement come about? And I finally just last week got the 13 questions that they asked.
Okay.
Some of them I think were out in left field,
Okay.
but I mean some of them were very, very good questions. If your office hadn't received that, I'd be more than happy to get you a copy of it.
Great.
Because I believe that if we're going to donate to this party, we should be
Sure.
equal to this party.
If you, why don't you write down your name and phone number or an email and give it to me, and I'll have someone get back with you next week for sure, one way or the other.
Because I mean, a lot of us would like to know if you even received that.
Okay.
Because you know, unions historically have been.
Right. Yeah, Britt's my chief. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was in charge. So most of the time, Dr. Marshall and I will fill out all those surveys and I'll collect them all. And I do not recall that one at all.
Okay.
And we went through one by one with those. So.
Okay.
My goal is to fill out every one that we get. And I don't remember it either, but when you get over 100 of them, it's hard to remember. But I remember getting one from the teachers, and I remember the NRAs. I remember, groups of them. The pro-life folks, probably got 10 from them, and I don't remember one of those. Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I need to hurry because I'm volunteering at the food pantry. I need to
Sure,
get back.
you go right ahead.
But I want to go on a more national level and ask you,
Bree, you want to grab me a stool from in there? Yep.
and ask you if you are among those in Congress who are crafting or who are supporting any kind of a situation where there would be an impeachment of Rod Rosenstein.
I'm not on the official letter to do that or the official bill to do it.
Would you support that?
I want to get all the facts straight. I think it's a pretty high bar to say he's committed treason or high crimes or misdemeanors, I think is the official deal. So I'm a doctor. I like to get all my lab tests in and my x-rays before I jump to that. There's so much chaos going on over this Russia mania stuff. I'm not sure if it accomplishes it. Trey Gowdy would be a good friend of mine, and Devin Nunes as well. And I'm waiting for their leaderships, and so far they don't think it's a good idea. So if they ask me,
not right now because they want to get through the election.
A whole lot of things.
Kavanaugh and then they're going to go after him like you said in the secret.
I want to get to the truth as efficiently as possible. I can't believe they drugged this out over 2 years. They've spent $30 million.
How much do they spend on Benghazi?
I don't know.
More than this.
Probably more than this, right. I think that at this point in time, they owe us an answer. I think that they should sit down with Congress and say, we think there's collusion or there's not. And if they don't think there's...
You do believe that Russia tried or did
Yes.
involved in... You do believe that. It's not a witch hunt.
I think that regarding President Trump, it's a witch hunt.
How so?
I just don't think there's any connection between him doing anything and all this Russia mania business. There's been no evidence. They've been 2 years. There's no evidence to suggest that there was any collusion. And that's what they were supposed. The special counsel was supposed to be doing, was focusing on that part. So I think that part's a witch hunt. But I'm very concerned about Russia meddling in our elections. I just think that the chaos it's creating needs to be answered. They've been researching this for 2 years. We deserve to know it, get some type of an update, and I'm ready to move on.
I just hope that they come to their conclusion, and it is an accurate conclusion.
I got a farm bill to do. I've got trade bills to do. The president's got plenty on his plate. It's been 2 years of chaos. I'm ready to get the right answer. Yes, sir. Thank you for coming.
If he leaves the golf course, he gets to do that. Thank you.
He works 18 hours a day. I mean, he does.